Hello everyone and welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Well, recently I did a sub-collection of my USA made Barlows. Really got into Barlows recently. They've quickly becoming one of my favourite patterns to collect, along with Stockman's. Those two are sort of competing for number one. But today I thought we'd go through my British, well, these are all Sheffield made as far as I'm aware, Sheffield made Barlows. No particular order, honestly no real favourite between them. I love them all equally. They're just great. Barlow is a perfect working knife. Now, these are all going to be sort of production models, one of which I have rehandled because I didn't like the wood that was on it, but you can buy the original of it now, and then a couple are vintage which aren't available. So none of these are customs. They're all sort of production models, or were at one time or another. So I thought I'm going to jump straight into it really and start with the customized one and get that out of the way. Let's move this out of the way. So this is the Taylor's Eyewitness. Apologies, just had a delivery, knife, surprisingly. But yeah, this is the Taylor's Eyewitness TW100. This is one of their more basic models. It normally comes with just sort of hardwood covers. I have recovered this myself with some nice chunky stag just to make it a bit more comfortable. But pretty much exactly as you get it from the shop. So it's just a nice clip point blade. You get that Taylor style bolsters. You got the slanted and flattened stamped, and then this rounded bit here. And then again here and here, but very sort of aggressive British clip on this one. Absolutely beautiful. A big fan of the TW100, even though it is stainless steel. I would much prefer if it was carbon, but I mean, it's not going to put me off using the knife. I think it's absolutely fantastic. You get great walk and talk on these as well. Beautiful build quality, and you can pick these up for about £40, I think, from the famous Sheffield shop. So that's the first one. That's the TW100. And let's go on to some of the older ones. So this here is the only, is it the only spear points? Yeah, it's the only spear point Barlow I've got here that isn't a custom. And this was made by Bladed Co in Sheffield. And we recently found out they are still existing. They're still a company, but they're only sort of doing silver smithing. So no knives are being produced by them, unfortunately. But we have this beautiful rosewood on here, brass liners, carbon springs, elongated bolster, which means that it's a Barlow for me. And this spear blade would have been a little bit longer, you can see from the channel, but it has been used, and I've been using it as well, and it's absolutely beautiful. See the maker's mark there, Bladed Co Sheffield. And on this one, you get a secondary blade as well, which is a little pen blade, stamped again on this one as well. Does need a little bit more of a clean out. It's quite a recent one to the collection. Oh, but it does have quite a good pull on that main blade. Now all these I've got here are UK legal, so the blades are all under 3 inches. I'm pretty sure the biggest blade here is there might be one that isn't UK legal, but most of them are all under the 3 inch. Excellent Bladed Barlow. Next up, a couple from George Wolstenholme. Now this is a more modern one. So you get the squared style bolsters, and it's quite flat and slender, very gentlemanly Barlow. Really nice brass liners on this one. And then you get this stainless steel clip point blade with the IXL George Wolstenholme stamp. And then unfortunately they did go to laser engraving on the bolsters. Now, I have it under good authority that they are going back to stamped, but for now they are laser engraved, and this is with the dark oak on here, so very dark, but beautiful grain in there. You can see that all down, no half stop, great action, nice long pull, and the great snap, and about a 7 on the pull of this one. But this is a very beautiful example. This one was handpicked for me by Mikey Newman from the famous Sheffield shop. And this is one of my firm favourites to use, especially if I want to carry something that's a little bit slender, a little bit more gentlemanly. And sometimes I do need to carry a stainless knife, depending on what I'm doing. But more often than not, it's going to be a carbon steel. But there's one from IXL. I've got a couple more here. This one I got in a trade with Mikey actually as well. And this is the Lambsoot Barlow in Buffalo. It's that beautiful caramel colour here in the Buffalo. And on the back's quite dark. Again, laser etched bolsters, but we have stamped tang and a beautiful lamb's foot blade there, pretty much mirror polish. And I believe these are SFS 100, I think that's how it is. their stainless steel they use, but this one's got beautiful action. It's glassy smooth on the open, no half stop. I'd say it's a solid 7 on the pull. Again, beautiful knife, very gentleman style Barlow. You can close it one-handed, it's not too stiff. So that's another beautiful one. They're available, I want to say the Buffalo's probably a little bit more expensive. I want to say they're about the £70 mark, maybe a little bit more now with the price increases, and I say these are a little bit cheaper, but they're way worth, you know, what you pay for them. And then here is my older IXL Barlow. See, it has IXL stamped on the bolsters, both sides. You get oil the joints on the back, and then IXL George Wolstenholme Sheffield England on the front. And you have this beautiful jigged bone, steel liners, steel spring, carbon steel blade, and there's loads of that left to use. You can see beautiful finish on that blade. And again, this is one I love using. I'm pretty sure I got this in a trade with Drew. Love this Barlow. It is, the Wolstenholme ones are a little bit smaller than regular Barlows, and I know I say regular Barlows very loosely. They are a little bit smaller than the TW100 and some of the Arthur Wrights I've got here as well. But that doesn't make them any less of a good knife, because you can get a full 4-finger grip on this. And with this, you get to carry a bit of history as well. And that one has beautiful snap. Not far off centered, not perfect, but definitely a very usable knife. Let's go through some of my Arthur Wright. So we've got this one here. This is in the rosewood, I believe. Beautiful clip point Barlow. Now all my Arthur Wrights are clip points, so you're going to be seeing a lot of those coming up. So you can see the tang stamp there. A. Wright and Son, Sheffield, England. Beautiful upswept clip, and nobody, in my opinion, makes a better clip point than Arthur Wright. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Now, you're all very lucky, because I've recently polished up all my Barlows, the Sheffield ones, because they were looking a bit grotty. So you're getting to see them at their best, whereas, you know, knives I like to use, and they end up a bit like my hands, a bit grotty. But you can see beautiful rosewood there. I think it's the rosewood. Not entirely sure. It could be one of the newer ones, Kaya or something they use now. But still beautiful. Construction's fantastic. Great snap. Pretty much dead centered. Another beautiful Barlow from Arthur Wright. Now this, I will say, is a little bit of an older one, because it is actually a little bit smaller than what they're producing now. So if I hold these next to each other, line those bolsters up, you can see there's a good sort of 1/8 of an inch off the bottom. So this is more like a 3.5, and I think these are like 3.6, 3.7 inches. So yeah, there has been a little bit of a change in the Arthur Wright Barlows, but nothing major. And this is the one they OEM'd for Twisted Assisted. You can see the Twisted Assisted logo there, and this is in the burlap micarta. So this is the American-made burlap micarta, so there's a bit of both on there as well. Beautiful fit and finish. Again, great snap, and this is in a C70 carbon steel. Now all these Arthur Wrights are in C70. That one is pretty much down the middle, maybe a little bit off to the show side, but nothing major. Another one for Twisted Assisted. This is their second release of the Barlows, and this is in the natural linen micarta, I believe it is. Again, their logo there. Beautiful micarta on this. Excellent fit and finish. Nice snap both directions. And then this one is right down the middle as well. And you can see that quality and the way that beautifully hafted. So you can see it's sort of curved round there. Make it comfortable in the hand. See it a bit better in this sort of view. But beautiful linen micarta on that one. We have an Ebony Barlow here. This is one of my favourite users. It gets quite a lot of use. There's a bit of oil on the tang, so just wiping that off. So Ebony Barlow, beautiful dark ebony wood on this one. See the swirls through the wood there. Not so much of a colour variation, but you can definitely see the grain coming through. Again, no wobble, nothing like that. Great build quality on these. It's that beautiful clip point blade. And there's something about ebony with nickel silver. It just looks absolutely superb. It really does make the knife for me this sort of colour variation. And again, great action. You're not going to get anything much different with Arthur Wright. They're pretty steady with their action and the pull strength, stuff like that. Next up is another one which I've started doing a mirror polish on. Now it's not perfect, I'm still in the progress of doing it, but it is getting there. Got quite a lot more grits to go through, but I'm up to about, I can't remember. I'll have to go outside and look. I was in the middle of doing it last night. But this is the olive wood Barlow. And get it to focus. Beautiful straight grain olive wood. Love the colour that comes through, and you can really feel the oiliness of that olive wood shining through. Great build quality. Again, this one's going to look fantastic when I finish that blade, getting it mirror polished. Pretty much down the centre. I mean, perfect action on this one. It's about 7.5 and then an 8 right at the end. This is the latest Moonraker exclusive, so that's Moonraker knives here in the UK, and this is the mossy green curly birch, I believe it is. But look at that. Greens, yellows, reds, everything coming through that wood. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that yellow streak going through there, and the sort of the blood red coming through. Some of the nicest wood I've ever seen put on a knife. And I actually haven't used this one yet, so it will be getting used very shortly, but just I can't get over how well the wood turned out on this one. Fantastic. Great action, great snap. It does need a little bit more oil, this one, and maybe a little bit of a flush out to get it snapping in both directions superbly, but plenty of action going on there at the moment. Beautiful. Love that one. And then this is a 2-bladed Barlow from Arthur Wright. So you get the spear point on there, the little spear pen blade. Nice little snap. And then you also get the main clip point blade on there as well. And that does make it a bit more of a chunky work knife in the hand, if that's what you're after. Maybe having 2 blades. You can use the little pen blade as a box opener, something like that. And then the clip point is the main blade. But again, ebony on the nickel silver is fantastic. Absolutely love it. Especially with those really nice chunky brass pins in there as well. Really makes this knife. Great action as well. Outstanding fit and finish. Really well put together. Love that one. And then that's my Arthur Wrights, and we've got a couple left. So I've got a William Rogers and one that I've never seen before, but we'll leave that to the end. So this is my only Barlow that I think might be not UK legal. We can actually check. If I grab a rule. So the blade on there, no, it's UK legal. 2.9 inches. So this is a William Rogers. It's a bit easier to see that it is a William Rogers if I open this blade. And you can see the I cut my way on there. And this is a slim Barlow. So Taylor's Eyewitness are still making these, but you get the flattened bolsters, the rounded like a modern Taylor's. Beautiful bar shield with ebony covers, buffalo covers on this, my mistake. Beautiful bit of feather in there, and then a bit on the back here. Beautiful build quality, and this very snappy for its age. Nice slender long sort of California clip, but definitely needs a clean. And then you get pen blade on there as well. Nice sort of size of that pen blade, not such a slouch. Decent. Beautiful knife, one I picked up very recently at an antique fair. And then finally, probably one of my, well, definitely my favourite current at the moment. I know I said I love them all equally, but this last one, first time I ever heard of the brand, and look at this thing. I think this might be buffalo. I'm not entirely sure. It could be a synthetic. I've not tested it. But beautiful build quality. Nickel silver bolsters. You've got, is it nickel silver liners it looks like as well? Yeah. And this is a Jonathan Crooks. And you can see you've got the pistol pointing at the heart. That's their sort of maker's mark. And look at that clip point blade. Absolutely beautiful knife. I love that little bit of swedging at the top, a little tiny bit of upswept, so it's quite different to an Arthur Wright clip, but not in a bad way. So you can see the two there. bit more upswept on an Arthur Wright and a bit more of a clip, whereas this is a very subtle clip really on the side. But yeah, that's my Sheffield Barlows. Hopefully be picking up some more, definitely going to be getting some more Arthur Wrights and hopefully find some more vintage ones. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like, subscribe and ring that bell for notifications, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.